In the Triad expanse, where interstellar empires rose like circuitry across the void and collapsed in nanoseconds of historical memory, the Zorvani directive reigned unchallenged. Unlike the theocratic Ziari or the hive-born Unkel, the Zorvani were built on logic, conquest, and algorithmic dominance. Their empire had no senate, no emperors, just stratified tiers of function-based coordination, strategecs, calcularchs, assimilators. They weren't born. They were precision-cloned in orbital vats, programmed from infancy for cognitive specialization. Their ships ran on probability matrices and quantum entanglement protocols, guided by the Harmonizer, an AI so sophisticated it could model a civilization's psychology by reading 1 week of broadcast entertainment. Every conquest was clean. No resistance lasted longer than predicted. Cultures were archived, resources harvested, populations pacified and integrated. Compliance was mathematically inevitable. They didn't ask questions. They deployed outcomes. Next target? Strategex Vortal asked, standing beneath the shimmering lattice of galactic conquest projections. He was tall, six-limbed, skin like folded glass, and eyes that refracted possibility curves. Designation E3759. Local name Earth, said Necrix Tharn, sub-strategex of Tactical Phase 3. Background: isolated backwater in Sector Oralis 4, never unified, 7.9 billion bipeds. Technological rating 2.7, factionalized. Still operating on fossil fuels, uses written contracts to formalize social bonding. Charming, Vortal said dryly. No psionics, no collective cognition. Highest military assets are atmospheric metal cylinders with combustion-based propulsion. Estimated conquest time, 3 hours, 11 minutes. Vortal frowned. Barely worth the fuel. But it was on the list. Earth had emitted structured radio signals. Galactic law required first contact and potential integration. The directive had standards. Protocol 7, overwhelm, intimidate, accept surrender. The Harmonizer hummed, simulating Earth's reaction to conquest with 98% confidence. It was wrong, because it had never accounted for what happens when you threaten a species raised on chaos, caffeine and sarcasm. At precisely 0800 UTC, Zorvani Fleet Group 7A entered orbit over Earth, snapping into geosynchronous formation with the precision of a metronome. 43 Conquest-class warships formed a globe of inevitability. They had conquered black hole cultures and silicate consciousnesses with less effort than went into this maneuver. Strategex Vortal stood on the bridge of the absolute vector, posture confident, multiple ocular nodes focused on the operations display. "Initiate first contact," he said. "Broadcasting intimidation vector Alpha Prime," replied Necrix Tharn. "Full spectrum override, all auditory and visual frequencies, transmitting on everything from microwave to whale song." The message was a masterpiece of threat architecture, tested on over 70 sapient species. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth. You are now subject to integration under directive control. You have 60 minutes to surrender. Resistance will result in total annihilation. This is your only warning. According to the harmonizer's simulations, this would provoke immediate military capitulation, 83%, despair-driven compliance, 12%, mass religious awakening followed by surrender, 4.7%. Instead, in Toronto, Ethan Morales, age 22, paused his burrito and said, "That's new." In Lagos, a vendor shouted, "Alien invasion discount! Buy two, get abducted free!" In London, a red bus was repainted with "Welcome overlords, mind the plasma." In rural Nebraska, Russell Granger watched his goats ignore the alien ships and muttered, "Better not spook the herd." On board the Absolute Vector, the first responses poured in. "Strategex," said Ulthex, the communications officer, voice warbling. "We are receiving thousands of transmissions per minute. Visuals, text, audio. None are surrender notices. Clarify." "They're jokes, sir. One says, 'If you blow up the DMV, we'll be grateful.' Another includes a dog in a colander helmet labeled Earth Defense Force." Vortal stared. "Are we being ridiculed?" Necrix narrowed his sensory ridge. "Statistically improbable. Mockery is a stage 3 emotional response. We're still in stage 0. "Are they trying to negotiate?" "No, sir. Someone just offered to trade you 3 goats and a case of beer if you'll vaporize their landlord." What?" The harmonizer ran a recalibration. Margin of error, plus or minus. Vortal tapped his command screen. "Cross-check. Have any prior species ever reacted this way?" Ulthex checked. "Negative. Closest analog is the Varloon of Sector 9A. They attempted interpretive dance. And they were annihilated before finishing the choreography." From the rear of the bridge, Weapons Officer Jar Cool raised a tentacle. "Strategex, permission to fire a warning plasma strike, just to remind them we're serious." Vortal hesitated. "Yes. Target something non-essential. Like, what do humans value least?" "According to Earth data, Ohio." "Very well. Fire 2 kilometers off the coast of a major city instead." A brilliant lance of plasma scorched the Atlantic, sending up a colossal steam column visible from orbit. It was meant to signal dominance. 30 seconds later, Earth's social media exploded. "Sir," Ulthex whispered, "our alien fireworks is trending. The humans believe we've initiated an interplanetary light show." "They think it's entertainment?" "Yes. One message asks if we can do it again, but in blue." Another message rolled across the screen. "Can you write, 'Jessica, will you marry me?' in plasma across the sky?" Necrix turned slowly. "Sir, tactical models are collapsing. The humans appear to be immune to intimidation." "No," Vortal whispered. "They're not immune." He stared at the message feed in horror. "They're enjoying it." The Zorvani invasion doctrine was clear. When psychological warfare failed, which it never had, Protocol 12 was to be enacted. Demonstrate overwhelming force without full-scale annihilation. "Prepare ground teams," Strategex Vortal ordered, each syllable heavy with the dread of uncertainty.
Deploy to major population zones. No fatalities. No fire unless provoked. Sir, Necrix Tharn said cautiously, we don't have procedures for non-violent planetary subjugation. Should we improvise? Vortal scowled. We are Zorvani. We do not improvise. We execute alternate subroutines. The first drop pods landed with thunderous spectacle across Earth's metropoles. Steel-clad shock troopers emerged in perfect formation. Plasma carbines hummed. Propaganda projectors deployed. And Earth responded, not with resistance, but with hospitality. In New York City, Captain Thrask Vel, 8 feet tall and bristling with integrated weaponry, emerged from his pod expecting gunfire and screaming. Instead, he was greeted by thousands of civilians holding up phones. Applause, cheers. A woman in a Welcome Aliens t-shirt shouted, "Line starts to the left if you want selfies." A child ran up with a Sharpie and asked for an autograph. I already got Iron Man's. Now I want yours. Thrask Vel blinked. I am not fictional. I won't tell if you don't, the kid said. In London, Lieutenant Rocknor 37 was stopped at the gates by a stern-looking British civil servant holding a clipboard. "Right then," said the man. "Alien invasion, is it? Jolly good. You'll want the Historic Government Conquest Tour. That's 15 quid. Mind the steps. We are here to conquer your leadership." "Yes, well, bookings are done online now. Wi-Fi passwords on the bench. Try not to vaporize the statues, please. They're heritage listed." Over in Sydney, General Zarkal Vun, commander of the ground operation, was met on arrival by humans in sandals holding beer cans and a sign that read, "Welcome Zorvani, first rounds on us." "G'day, mate," called a man in a sun hat. "You guys eat meat? Got a barbie going? Don't be shy, steaks, snags and cold VB in the cooler." Zarkal hesitated. "This is a negotiation?" "Nah," the Aussie grinned. "This is a Saturday." Zarkal's second-in-command whispered, "Sir, they're offering diplomacy through roasted animal flesh." "I've read legends of this," Zarkal muttered. "It's called a barbecue." Back aboard the Absolute Vector, chaos reigned. Quiet, bureaucratic, horrifying chaos. "Report," Vortal demanded. Ulthex read from his console. "Squad 3 has been asked to host a cooking show. Squad 5 is now employed at a tech startup. Squad 12 appears to be enrolled in a community college in Wisconsin." "What?" "They're pursuing degrees in sustainable agriculture, sir. Earthlings claim it's part of the healing process." "And the rest?" "Squad 17 has joined something called a book club. They're reading To Kill a Mockingbird and emotionally bonding with their captors." Vortal stared blankly. "Are we being reverse assimilated?" The harmonizer chimed in again. "Recommend full retreat, self-reflection, and group therapy." He slammed the console. "Not helpful." Then came the final blow. "Strategex," Necrix said. "We've just received an invitation." "Invitation?" "To a Welcome to Earth potluck, hosted by the United Nations. They're asking if we have food allergies." Vortal's lip plates twitched. Do we? I don't know, sir. On most worlds, Protocol 19 was the last stop before vaporization. It was the Zorvani directive's psychological doomsday, a neural frequency algorithmically crafted to disintegrate emotional stability. Civilizations with planetary-scale mental fortresses had crumbled before it, not Earth. Broadcast Protocol 19, Vortal said grimly. Confirmed, said Ulthex, injecting despair into every major language cluster, targeting hope, ambition, and self-esteem centers. 3 seconds later, Earth responded. Sir, Ulthex said cautiously, they've turned it into a meditation app. A what? They're calling it Zen Mind Alien Vibes. Galactic Peace for Inner Calm. It's #1 on their app stores. The UI is green and has calming starscapes. There's a whale sound at the end. Necrix leaned in, squinting at the feed. They added background rain, strategex. Ulthex added, one review says, and I quote, your psychic invasion really helped me through my divorce. Vortal's claws twitched. Another alert pinged. Sir, there's merchandise now. Human retailers are selling mugs that say, invaded by aliens, all I got was inner peace. There are t-shirts. Throw pillows. Necrix looked pale. They're commercializing the invasion. Ulthex nodded. A man named Todd has started a lifestyle brand called Conquest and Calm. He's offering affiliate links. Another ping. Strategex, Ulthex said hollowly. A woman on Earth just launched a dating app for alien-human relations. It's called Love Across the Stars. Beta testers include 2 of our troopers. Vortal sank into his command chair. How did this happen? Necrix checked the Harmonizer's latest update. Analysis. Earthlings defy standard conquest models. Reclassification recommended. Terminally hospitable. Another ping. They've sent a follow-up to the summit invitation, sir. It includes a spreadsheet of our known officers' birthdays. There was silence. Then Vortal whispered, as if afraid to wake the logic gods. They're planning a surprise party. The Geneva Galactic Peace Summit was never meant to happen. Certainly not on a planet classified as technological tier 2.7, prone to spontaneous memes, with no central authority and a deeply suspicious obsession with bean-based food products. And yet, the summit did happen. Representatives from 312 star-faring species arrived, some by diplomatic shuttle, others hitching rides with long-haul freighter crews who were now somehow legally married to human travel agents. Former enemies shared welcome baskets. 2 delegates got into a heated argument over whether banana bread counted as cake. A Zorvani conquest sergeant wept openly during a surprise mariachi performance. At the summit's center stood Strategex Vortal, no longer in battle armor but in a hand-knit sweater that read, #1 Intergalactic Guest. The sleeves had tiny stitched plasma cannons. It was tasteful. He stood at the podium, 6 eyes wide, voice trembling. "Delegates, 5 weeks ago, we came to this planet to subjugate it." He looked around. A human child handed him a friendship bracelet made of beads that spelled Vorboy. He put it on. "We failed, profoundly, catastrophically." Murmurs of agreement. "Because Earth possesses a weapon we had no defense for, not plasma, not radiation, but something far worse." He swallowed. "They care. About everything. About us." In the back row, General Zarkal Vun nodded while sharing a bean dip recipe with a warlord from Vor Delta. "They invited us to dinner during our own invasion. They asked about our dietary needs. They made us talk about our emotions. Some of you hugged." There was a beat of silence, and then applause, deafening, cross-species, multilingual applause. Vortal raised one hand. "I hereby dissolve all conquest protocols of the Zorvani Directive." Gasps. "I propose we establish a new system, a federation of nice beings." More gasps. A cheer from the human delegation. Someone released biodegradable confetti. The new Federation's constitution was signed that afternoon. It was color-coded, printed in Comic Sans, and laminated by someone named Derek from Ohio who just wanted to help. The Zorvani military became the Zorvani Friendship Armada, tasked with cultural exchanges and surprise birthday parties. Their most feared battlecruiser now hosted an interstellar podcast called Tell Me How You Feel. The Harmonizer, former AI warbrain, took up creative writing. It published a novella. Critics called it emotionally devastating and shockingly tender. As for Earth, within a year it became the galaxy's default diplomatic hub, tourism hotspot, and certified neutral bake-off venue. Humanity, without a shot fired, became the accidental custodians of interstellar peace. Because when faced with destruction, they did what humans always do. They invited it in, gave it cookies, and made it part of the family. Later, in a quiet field outside Kansas, 2 Zorvani and a human were helping set up folding chairs for the 3rd annual interspecies potluck and laser tag tournament. "Hey, strategex," said Russell Granger, handing him a plate of brownies. "You ever think about how weird this all is?" Vortal stared at the brownies. "Constantly. But the frosting has sprinkles. That helps." Russell grinned. "Damn right it does." Above them, the stars twinkled with diplomatic potential. And somewhere deep in space, the next great conqueror veered off course, not because of resistance, not because of fear, but because someone from Earth had already sent them an invitation.